Hello and welcome to another episode of Never Onside. Hi, this is Joseph, and joining me as usual is Mayur. Hi, Mayur.
High horse. Not a fun weekend for Barca fan.
For Barca fans, definitely. But this weekend, we were looking forward to two or three very good derbies. First, we had the El Clasico as well, and PSG versus Marseille, and also the Liverpool versus City match, which was usually the title contending teams. Matched up against each other, but this season Liverpool is struggling a bit. But we wanted to see what would happen, how City would dominate Liverpool. That's what we were all waiting to see. But what transpired was something completely different. And we'll look into it and how that happened, and also a peek into the El Clasico as well. Mayur will have a torrid time trying to tactically analyze the derby. I'm sure. Cool. Let's move on to the first part, which is the review of the game week 9 matches. So basically, the standout win, as we have mentioned, was the Liverpool match, which they won 1-0. We'll come back to that. What else was interesting in this, Mayur?
So to start off with the Leeds Arsenal game, it was a very uh, chaotic game. Arsenal were very lucky. The XG at the end of the match was something like 2 point something for Leeds, and Arsenal just had like 0.86 or zero point 0.9
Yeah, right,
in
right.
favor of them. So a very
Mm.
one-sided game. Even some of the players came out after that game and spoke on Twitter that they were very happy to see out the points. Was a tough game. So
Right, right.
definitely a week where City also dropped points. So this game we'll talk about. So I guess Hose, you watched the game, right? So can you
Yeah,
just
right, right. I watched the game, and it was a frantic game in which Leeds took the game to Arsenal, because I was expecting Arsenal to win 3-0, 4-0 because of the quality they had, and I expected Leeds to press and Arsenal to play through it. But the match was very intense, and Liverpool pressed, like Leeds pressed the Arsenal players. Yeah. So Leeds could have at least got away with a point. Bamford missing a penalty, and this was a very eventful match because we saw a penalty being overturned. We saw a penalty being missed, and Saka scored a brilliant goal as well. So it was a fun game to watch, and lucky that Arsenal got away with all 3 points, and they are sitting pretty on top of the table right now.
so other game as well to talk about the Spurs Everton game. So if we might have not thought about this, but Spurs are currently level with City on points. So they both are at 23 points. So Spurs have not been playing very good, but the new system which they have implemented, which we covered last time around when they played against Brighton, the
Yeah,
3-5-2 which they are trying to play, or maybe a 3-4-3, but with three midfielders who are sitting it, and
yeah,
Bentancur has profited a lot from it. So that has definitely seen them become defensively solid as well, with two wing backs who are constantly attacking. Kane, who has been amongst goal throughout the season,
yeah,
and now with the three mid players, they have definitely got something good going on, and they could definitely challenge for that second spot. Though Arsenal are currently running high and are 4 points clear, but against Spurs, who are not playing well as of now, as per
yeah.
their capabilities, but they're
Right, right.
definitely a team to watch out for.
Yeah, so Spurs, if you watch the match, you wouldn't like watch their matches, you wouldn't say that they are sitting on level with City. And I was surprised when I saw the table, because I was expecting Spurs to be a bit more below City, but that was something which surprised me certainly. And the likes of Kane, in any other season, we would be very, we'll be talking about him, but because Haaland is there, we are kind of overlooking him. And the fact that I think it took him till like the next year in the last season for him to score these many goals. So he has started scoring from the start for Spurs. And as you mentioned, Bentancur is a very influential player for Conte. But the real issue is, if a team really sits back, do they need another? creative player, which because I have seen in many of the forums, Spurs fans want someone like an Ericsson, someone who can dictate the game and also pick those crucial passes. So that is something which we'll have to see moving forward. Can Conte find a way to deal with such teams? Also, United versus Newcastle was another interesting match, and these are two sides who are trying to break in into the top four. And I'm sure you must have watched the goal which Ronaldo scored. He went in and took the ball after the free kick was taken, apparently, but I'm not 100% sure because it was controversial. You wouldn't have been surprised if some referees would have given it as a goal, but you could definitely see all the United players swarming the referee at that moment, and also a clear penalty was not given to United. I suppose I'm not sure if I am being biased or not, but so those are the two things, and I'm very disappointed that United didn't come out with 3 points playing at home. Yeah, so that is that. So what do we have next?
Yes. So next we have the main important game, which you will be taking us through. So
Yeah.
yes, all the floor is yours.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting formation from Pep. We usually talk about Pep being, overthinking in some aspects when it comes to very crucial matches, Champions League finals, and I'm sure he would treat a Liverpool away match just like how he would treat a Champions League match. And you could see definitely from the start of the match that the formation that um, uh, City was playing was very different from what they used to play. The personnel were almost the same, but the system that they played was trying to target the Liverpool right side, where usually Trent Alexander-Arnold plays, and they are trying to create an overload on that right side. So this time, Milner played on the right side, and the issue here is that someone like a De Bruyne usually has Bernardo Silva to link up play with and get into the right side of the penalty box and put in a ball for Erling Haaland to head it in or slide and shoot. So this is something that was lacking, and Joy Cancelo was also playing on the right side, but he wasn't as forward as someone like a Bernardo Silva would be. You can definitely see from the average positions in the 90 minutes that they were playing completely on the left hand side, trying to interlink play there and trying to exploit Liverpool's main issues. But um, two players who were very good in this match were Van Dijk and Gomez, and also in defense, those two players were very critical because they marked out Erling Haaland. I guess there were two clear-cut chances for Haaland, so that was it. The rest, all those goals that you would expect Haaland to score, like the balls that De Bruyne had put in, Van Dijk either headed it away in those crucial positions. So Gomez and Van Dijk were very physical with him. They denied him the space to run into, and that is why Liverpool got away with a clean sheet. But any other day, Haaland would have scored that two chances that he got, a De Bruyne ball, and there was one another chance that he got. So another controversial issue that happened in this game was the goal that City scored was overturned because of a foul on Fabinho. So basically, if you see, Anthony Taylor had given was not giving a tight leash on the match. He was letting everything go. He was allowing players to be physical, and then when Erling Haaland kind of uh, tucked Fabinho's shirt and pulled him to the ground, it was a very slight pull, I would say, but after the match, both the managers agreed that referees have to be more consistent. Like if you're letting things go throughout the match, then you shouldn't change it for one moment or one build up to on the build up to a goal. You shouldn't change your philosophy, which was there throughout the match for that one incident, which was very crucial. So that is why that goal got overturned, and Yeah, so this is how City played. Now let's move on to the next slide. So this is Liverpool setup, and definitely the first thing you would notice is that number 11 who's playing on the inside. What is called the inside right channel of Liverpool, um, in the half space. So that is where Salah was playing. This is where we know that Salah is prolific, and he has played throughout the last 2 3 years where he has scored millions of goals. So this time Klopp decided not to go with someone like a Nunes, and Salah was there, and Liverpool's plan was to play on the counter, and that is the only area where they were very dominant in, and they were able to exploit City in 2 or 3 counters that they played. The first one, Salah missed that because of a beautiful save by Ederson. It was an unbelievable save. Shows the caliber, the potential, and the talent of Ederson. And Jota playing. You can see Jota in the 20 in number 20, and Thiago number 6, and Robertson was comparatively very high up. Like you can see that he is playing alongside Jota and Thiago. He in the first half he had the most touches in the opposition box, so that is how attacking he was. And you can definitely see that Firmino has also dropped in into the midfield, the number 9 slot, to get more people into the midfield to avoid City playing in the midfield. So this was a tactical tweak that Klopp had done, and it paid dividends. And I'm sure moving forward we'll see something like this deployed by Klopp in the future, because Liverpool were very good. Salah looked back to his best, and this is a good sign for Liverpool, because we were expecting City to run away with it. So, yeah, that's the tactical part of it.
And to just to sum up, a very good boost, moral boost as well for Liverpool. Now they will have a good run of fixtures, so this definitely makes the top four things more interesting. And with the likes of Chelsea also getting better as days pass, so this is making again the top four race a bit more interesting, as we had seen 2 3 teams running away with it, and the other 2 3 teams were falling a bit behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our PL roundup. So let's move on to La Liga. Again, in La Liga, there were two huge matches. One was the Athletic Club and Atletico Madrid game. So Athletic Club, who had been in decent form, were beaten by Atletico de Madrid. So this takes Madrid to third spot, and they are tied with Real Sociedad and Real Betis on the third spot, all with 19 points. And meanwhile, the most important match of the weekend in La Liga was the El Clasico. So apart from El Clasico, the two or three main results which I mentioned were Real Betis, who were winning 3-1, Real Sociedad, who have been quite decent. They are top of their Europa League group as well. So they have been showing decent amount of good form in all this competition. And Atletico Madrid, who have started to get some points in and around. So these were the three games, and now let's take a look at the El Clasico. So what exactly happened? So so just to sum up, in the last 5 days, uh, uh, Barcelona has faced two difficult situations and two difficult teams who generally can take those chances, right?
Okay.
So we have known. So before the El Clasico started, every Madrid fan would know this was their best. There was a best way how to attack Barcelona, and every Barcelona fan feared that this is what we were lacking and this is where we could concede. So the first two top images you can see on the left top corner is one which is marked with an arrow. So on the ball is Tony Cruz, and behind him is Busquets. So generally in his prime, when Busquets used to play, this pass would never happen. Like, but now which we have seen, like Busquets has been dragged around quite a lot. He has to run quite a lot. So in fairness, Tony Cruz and Busquets are same, but Madrid's system helps Cruz to like overshadow his uh, uh, weaknesses. And while Barca's system has generally been exposing Busquets a lot, like they have not been helping Busquets to play the way he should play, and he has to run a lot. He's not good at that. He's good at getting the ball back when in tight spaces and counter pressing. But here we see there is a lot of space. He has to run a lot of times, and he generally loses those. And he even lost this physical battle with Toni Kroos yesterday. So here we see that simple ball. Vinicius Junior on the halfway line. Roberto was no match once that ball was played through. Busquets tried to make a foul, but again, no use. The ball was already played. And once the ball was played, on the second image we see on top right, there were four defenders who were playing, and there is no need. Actually, all four of the defenders were running towards the goal. There is no way they can save the goal. If only two people run, it's fine, and two people have to mark the other players who were coming late, right? So this is just basic schoolboy defending error. Like, you, how can you let Benzema be free in that space, and Valverde as well? So those were the two people who scored two goals in a similar way. All the four players running towards the goal, and Ter Stegen making a brilliant save, but there was no one to collect the ball, and Benzema was just there, took his spot, and took his time and scored. Second goal, coming on to the second goal, the bottom left image. Here again, you can see there are four players already lined up, and Vinicius is playing centrally. He has been given time. Okay, we understand he has been given time, but you have to cover the possible options where he can pass. Both the options on the right hand side, it's Benzema on the wide right, and on the left hand side, it's Mendy, I guess. So both options are open. There is a lot of space to play, and Vinicius has been given a lot of time. He takes his time, plays the ball, and in the second top bottom right image, you can see there is no way attacking team should be able to get a goal from that position. There are six Barcelona players defending, while only four Madrid players attacking. But we still somehow didn't saw the danger coming. Again, like the first goal, second goal also, Valverde just runs in calmly and slots the ball home. So this has been a recurring thing, which has been, so many people were saying, is Xavi out now? So Xavi is not proving what he has been told to. But again, there are two, three instances. The only complaint from my side for Xavi is we are not controlling the games, which we should be controlling. And he's we are making the same mistakes. So I understand if we make different kind of mistake, it's still fine. But this was the same thing which happened during quite a lot of managers as well in the past. We are making the same mistake. We are making the same mistake. But I expect more from Xavi, and I think he's the right man, and we should obviously trust him. But I think he should also has to look at this mistake, which are very common and very schoolboy defending error. So this was it. On another day, probably if we don't make mistake, probably we win that El Clasico, or at least get a draw. Same
Right,
thing
right.
happened. Same thing happened in the Inter game. We lost. We gave goals for fun, and we lost 3-1. So this has been just like a destruction button we are pressing. It's like self destruction mode, and we just in a matter of time we just destruct ourselves, and then the whole game has gone into frenzy, and we can't come back. So it has been a
Yeah.
common recurring theme. But again, there is it's still a long way to go, and probably Madrid will also lose at some point. We have seen they have dropped points in the past. So I'm still optimistic about at least La Liga. Champions League is a different ball game again. Against tougher teams, we have seen if we don't have our players, the main defenders like Kunde and Araujo, we genuinely suffer a lot. And probably, let's see, there are statements coming in from Barcelona that there might be a change in the Busquets role. We might see Frankie more being deployed in that. So how it turns out to be, let's see. Let's wait and watch. But yeah, there is a change needed, and hopefully
Yeah.
it's
So
Xavi.
the first thing I noticed when with this screenshot is that there is a center midfielder who should be covering Benzema in the top right corner, whereas the center midfielder who should be shielding the edge of the box, waiting for that pass to Valverde. So it is something which can be, you can change those things. It is not like unfixable, but so that is an issue which, like you said, that someone like a Busquets in his prime would be dealing with it. Now that he is being dragged around, he is kind of losing his bearings a lot. So that is the El Clasico analysis for you. Let's move on to the roundup of Bundesliga. So at the bottom, you can see Bayern had an emphatic win over Freiburg, who are sitting third or fourth. I think Freiburg are sitting third or fourth in the table, and FC Union Berlin won 2-0 against Dortmund, So Dortmund apparently played really bad, and Union Berlin is still on top of the league. And yeah, so that is it. And Leverkusen, after winning 4-0 in the first match, after Xavi Alonso took over, they have gone back to their old habits of losing pretty badly, 5-1 against Frankfurt. And Schalke also struggling, losing 3-0. So yeah, that is it from Bundesliga. Bayern played really well. Most of their attacking players scored. Gnabry, Sane, everyone scored in this match, and they are looking good now.
So let's move on to League One. So again, in League One, except PSG and Lille, everyone, all of the big teams lost. So Marseille, there was a big derby, La Classique, as we say in France. So that was between PSG and Marseille. PSG came out as the winners. Lyon lost their games again. Rennes. Again, Nice lost their drew their game as well, and Monaco also lost their game. Monaco also drew their game. So yeah, there were a
Hmm.
lot of draws and losses for all the big teams. So as a result, Lorient, who also drew, but they are sitting in second position, and Lens, who won their game 1-0 and jumped frog into the third position, and now Marseille are on fourth. So just to give you the glance of the important game for this week was between PSG and Marseille, and PSG started the game very well. Marseille's keeper Lopez saved around 8 to 9 times in the 60-70 minutes he played, like in the initial 60-70 minutes when they were pushing and everything throughout the game. But in the starting 15-20 minutes itself, he had to save like 3-4 big chances. So PSG were creating for fun, and everyone was shooting up on the keeper or around the keeper, and keeper was fantastic, uh, like at it as well. But on a contrary, PSG also considered quite a lot chances. On Like Marseille had some chances on counters, but again they were also not able to take those chances. And at the end, PSG came out with a goal, with a sleek passing throughout their front three. But as a result, yesterday Mbappe was passing a lot. Like generally, he likes to take shoots, but yesterday he was looking for those cutting passes and tried to give the ball into the box more. So any rumors going around that he's not happy or he's not trying to play more for the team, so probably end to that. Yesterday he was looking for his teammates, and he gave the assist to Neymar as well, who scored the winning goal. Yeah, so that was the whole roundup of the game, and quite a good game to watch. There were quite a lot chances, just then it didn't convert into goal, or else it could have been a 3-2 game on another day. So
All
let's
right.
move on to Serie A.
Yeah, so Serie A, Juventus thankfully won after the issues that they had. They were really struggling, and I think Vlahovic scored the goal. And Inter won 2-0. Inter are looking good, and they're trying to climb up the table now, and they are in seventh position now. And Napoli are the table toppers. They have won again 3-2, and they have a 2 point gap over Atlanta, who are sitting on the second spot. Roma's match is yet to happen, and AC Milan won against Verona 2-1. So that is it. So basically, almost all the big teams have won. We're waiting for the Roma result to see what happens. Lazio dropped points, and they are in the fourth spot right now. Yeah.
So that's it for all the European leagues. So just let's sum it up with our FPL scores. So who scored 40 points and I scored 54 points. So overall, a bad week. Overall, low
Yeah.
scoring week
Yeah.
with
Right.
most of the City players failing to give points. So, Hos, how was your week? What did you
So it
think
was
about?
terrible. At after the first match day, I had 12 points with a -4. So technically, I had 8 points where people had 30, 40 points, and I was praying for Saka and Saliba to return points because at least Haaland everyone had. And De Bruyne and Cancelo didn't, give me any support in this game week. But it was a torrid game week for me. But I'm very positive about the coming. um, game weeks, like not the next game week, at least after that, where I can play the wild card and get back these 15-20 points that I've lost. Yeah.
As for me, Tony coming in with those two goals on Friday night, and Mitrovic with another penalty for him. So there were doubts whether Mitrovic would start or not. So I just took a gamble, and it paid off, fortunately. And Guay, who was my transfer this week, I thought Zuma will play, but he, due to his illness, I guess he was not in the team, and Guay came in for him. And surprisingly, no one would have thought that the Leicester and Palace game would end as a draw, but it ended as a draw. And that clean sheet coming in clutch to get the green arrow for me. Apart from that,
Right.
yeah, that was it. Not many good scores for anyone. So if you haven't joined our league, the league code is mentioned. There is the in the description box below as well. There is the league code and the auto join link, so you can join using that link. And that's it for this podcast. We'll soon join you next week with all the latest updates and results and every match around Europe. So that's it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.